How about how about that conversation with Jody Messina and Ella Langley? Are you kidding me? Holy cow. I'd like to thank Ella and Jody for opening for our panel today. Put that on your LinkedIn profile. Hey, real quick, there are a lot of folks that do a lot of amazing things to get CRS from the point that we just brainstormed to the point that we actually get to sit on this stage. And we only have a half an hour, so we're going to ask you to come on in, grab a seat, wrap up the conversations. You guys got all night to talk, and we really appreciate you being here. But how about a round of applause as loud as you've been all week? RJ, Chaz, Brooke, Ashley, Cherie, Heather, that is the CRS staff. And when you see all these volunteers that are opening doors and running around and getting you checked in, make sure you say thank you because they are here to make sure that this is an amazing experience for you. So real quick, show of hands. If you work at a radio station, who has a sales department that is still treating the Instagram feeds of whether it's the station or whether it's the personalities as commercial inventory? Raise of hands. There's no failing the test. I'm not sending this back to your markets. So this is a thing. This is an epidemic, and this is a problem, and this is what we are here to solve here with the OG influencers. And I apologize here. I am going to introduce real quick. We're not supposed to do introductions, but there's going to be faces that are on this stage, and they're all here for a reason because you may have never seen them walking around the hallways of CRS. We have two CRS first-timers on this stage, and the fact that they got on this stage on top of it is a big deal. So from Vancouver, in-game studio host and in-game arena host all the way to JR Country, Celine Tremarchi is all the way from Vancouver to be on stage with us. Rachel DeHart from Cumulus in Nashville. She is the glue between the sales department and the influencers. And Stuart, I'm just going to say, you tell them what your Instagram is because they probably follow it already anyway.
So our Instagram's called Explore Nash. We have around 500,000 followers, and I'm here to talk about brand deals and a bunch of other things. So.
I saw the Disruptors this morning, and if you saw that panel, they talked about risk, and you know they talked about believing in something and taking a stand for something. And Stuart, you did that in a big way because you own your own business. Like you are controlling your own enterprise right now. You walked away from a six-figure brand deal. Talk about the fact that you left a significant amount of money on the table because you didn't believe it aligned with what you're trying to do with your channel.
So at the end of the day, I care deeply about our audience. I want our audience to really feel a level of hospitality that most creators will not perceive. And that brand deal that fell through, it just did not align with my audience. And so I'm trying to protect my audience in a way from these brands, but it didn't align with my audience long term, and so it just didn't make sense for us to take that money.
Rachel, I'd applaud that. I'd applaud that because we bring it back to, so Rachel, you have a really unique lens at this at Cumulus in Nashville. You are in between the sales department and your influencers, which are your radio hosts, which is why we're here talking about this. But we're not really in a spot in radio these days where we walk away from the money, are we?
Not money and not six figures of money. That's awesome for you, but we can't really.
I don't know how awesome it is now, but yeah.
Walking away from six figures is not something that I would be doing in radio, and if I did, I probably wouldn't be sitting here. But instead of we can give it to a different influencer or run meta ads. We do a lot of meta ads with that.
So you have multiple platforms and you're looking at other ways that you could potentially influence without using or putting bad things out on influencer channels.
Yeah, if it doesn't align with his audience, kind of like you talked about, we have 20 to 30, 40 different influencers that we could tap into, or we can run it through Meta, TikTok, Twitter, or X, or run programmatic ads is kind of what we run as well.
It's been really cool seeing all of your pictures from the 1990s set to the songs on Instagram and all the things that we've been seeing with that trend, but we're really here to tell you it's not 1996 anymore, and we can't think about it the old way. And that's why, Celine, I'm really glad that you're here, because you bring this fresh lens, this fresh perspective. You were an influencer, like you've built something on your own, and you've had a media empire on your own, and now you've added radio to that mix. Talk about, has there ever been an opportunity where you've, in that pre-radio life, that you had to walk away from a brand, or you had to say no to something because it just didn't fit with what you were trying to accomplish?
Whoa, that was really loud. I will say my brand has always been hockey and country music, and the agency that I was working with, they understood that, so they never really gave me anything that was kind of outside the box. Like hunting, do I look like a girl who would go hunting? Not a shot. So they would never give me anything outside of the box, so they kind of just, if my brand was X, Y, and Z, they kept it with X, Y, and Z.
And Rachel, when you think about the numbers behind thinking about our talent as influencers, and by the way, this is a great conversation for artists as well, because they're in the same boat. Everybody's looking to have a piece of this economy. It's a pretty significant economy, and it's only growing.
Yeah, so influencer marketing, or just the industry in general, is a $33 billion industry. With a B, that's a lot, and it's only continued to grow. That number, it has you've seen 18 to 25% year-over-year increase since 2020, since the age of like influencers happened when we were all locked down. And I mean, $33 billion is something that we want to tap into, and it's something that we can tap into.
So you have this unique lens of being in between, but that is not something that every radio station has, or every radio talent has, a buffer that understands what they're trying to accomplish. So what would you say to somebody who doesn't have a Rachel in their radio station that has to deal with the director of sales or the market manager or the market president that says, hey, we can't leave the revenue on the table? Like, what kind of conversation should I have with them when I get back to the office next week?
Yeah, no, that's a good question, because everybody's different, right? Every market's different, but I think the most important thing is starting the conversation. We're all on social media I mean, don't look at my screen time, but like hours. So we're all already there. So starting that conversation, just, hey, what is our strategy for go-to-market? What is our strategy for tapping into my digital audience?
So Stuart, we talked about how you walked away from a potential brand deal, but you've had some long-term brand deals that may have looked really great on paper, and you signed them up and you got them on and you did all the things, but then you kind of went, well, maybe this isn't exactly what it was all cracked up to be. How do you manage through that process when the boat has already left the shore?
So we've had that multiple times, and so primarily what we do on my account is we review restaurants, we highlight small businesses and destinations. 85% of our revenue comes in from destination marketing. That's most of what we make money on. But with what we do, this last year, over 500 restaurants have reached out to us. I would be the size of a massive barn if I had 500 restaurants in 1 year. So we had to build an entire vetting system so that if restaurants reach out to us, they have to go through my vetting system before I even show up on site. And so because of that vetting system, we did have a client that we were working with for years, and I was with their executive chef, and I was with the ownership group, and it's a huge brand here in Nashville. And I look down, and there's 5 cockroaches in the kitchen, and the quality of their beef progressively has gone downhill over the last 10 years. I literally had to fire them and break that contract there. And so at the end of the day, that's to protect my audience.
I want you to expand on a story that you told me, because I think this is a really good point to drive home in not treating Instagram and Facebook and TikTok like it's commercial inventory. You posted a reel, and I don't remember what the client was or what it had to do. It might have not even been a restaurant, but you posted one and you lost 1,500. You lost 1,500 followers just based on that one reel. Like, how did you manage through all of that?
1,500 followers and probably about 15 hit pieces. At the time when the team posted it, I have a team of 7. Afterwards, like the next day, I just kept seeing the number decrease. I'm like, oh, this is discouraging. Technically, that person's still my client until May. That's when that contract ends. But it was very divisive, the topic. And I had no creative control in the divisive topic. And, but that's how I pay bills. And so you're in this situation of like, okay, this is not good for my audience. And so like my biggest takeaway is know your audience. And then after working with some of these clients we've worked with, you have to do a deep dive into who they really are. Like, and if you can, you're going to have to meet with leadership teams of some of these companies, especially when you're doing these brand deals. Because the marketing manager may not actually understand the vision of the company. And then on the storytelling side of things, you're very confused and you're presenting false information.
Well, I think it plays into a perfect segue point, Rachel, with you in the middle of all of these conversations. I just am trying to really wrap my head around as a radio person. Sitting in the audience, listening to this conversation. I'm going to get back to my station next week, and I want to make this applicable to my situation. Like, how do you manage that all the way through the one-sheeter that's presented to the client with everything that's going to be delivered? Like, talk about just the process in your world from point A to point B.
Yeah, it's a lot of communication. And I know it's such a boring thing to say, but it truly is. It's managing the expectations with communication, whether it's client to talent, talent to audience, audience to all the way up to sales managers. So what we do is before anything gets signed, before it's even in front of the talent, we have an internal conversation, we have an external conversation, we're storyboarding it out, we're having creative brainstorms so that we know what we're giving to the audience and making sure that it works for the audience. And then that way we could go to the client and say, this is exactly what you're getting. And then they'll have creative freedom, as Stuart would say is really important, but they'll get that. But it's just managing those expectations, and a lot of email threads is definitely the case.
And I just want to make sure that this one lands crystal clear if I'm a talent and I'm trying to just change and not make it 1996 anymore in the hallways of how we do business. And we all win, by the way, when, radio station, talent, client all win when we put this together in a meaningful way. The talent have signed off at the point of all the things that you said that you're going to deliver, all the things that they have to do. The talent is in the loop every single step of the way so that there's no surprises.
The talent has to be in the loop. I mean, they can't be surprised at all, or else I'm in a position where I have to get their trust, and like their trust enough to pick up their kid at school trust. I'm basically their talent agency. And then I have the trust of my sales team to make sure that the deal gets pushed through. So without the conversations that I'm having with the talent and really getting to know them on a personal level and understanding what's important for them, the trust isn't there, and I can't sell it.
Celine, I want to see if there's a correlation here, because again, I think all of us in this room can really look at each other in the eye. We're not in the walls of our radio station, and we can say that we have undervalued socials, and we have done it like it's 19 or 2016 for a long time, and we really need to wake up and get into the 2026 and forward lens of how we do this. But you had an existing audience before you walked into the radio station, and there's a really great radio story to be told here. How have you seen the radio influence and the radio audience that you've been able to add to your portfolio at JR Country amplify what you do?
Well, I think just being very on socials a lot, for one, to really grow my brand, and being on multiple different markets, that has helped as well, because I'm on Calgary, Winnipeg. I've done some stuff for Saskatchewan as well. So pretty much in Manitoba, I think, Winnipeg, yeah, Manitoba, just across Canada.
Queen of Canada. Queen of Canada.
Hockey queen and country queen of Canada. Yeah, I've just been really active on my socials. And I just have to say, if you take a look at radio stations' Instagrams, they usually have 500 followers, 2,000 followers, not a lot of followers on there at all. But when you have someone that has a brand themselves and they're posting on the accounts of like all your radio stations, it helps grow it quite a bit.
I want to come to you next, Stuart. But Rachel, I want to start with you with the question. If I'm sitting in the audience and I'm the person with 500 followers, and I'm going to go back to my radio station, we've already talked about some of the conversation points that you have to have. And by the way, there's going to be a resource guide from CRS that Rachel has given us a ton of great handouts and takeaways and points of interest and inspiration that are going to be in that handout when it becomes available on the CRS app. So take a look for that soon. But Rachel, let's start with you. Let's talk to the person who's sitting in the audience. They've got 500 followers and they want to get this process started. Like, help me kind of mentally mind map where I need to go.
If you're talking content, I think it's important to tap into your niche and understand what pillars you want to post, because we have a prime example here. He's really tapped into his niche of restaurants, and he's absolutely blown it out of the water. Sometimes when talent or just anybody posting, if they just use kind of like that spray and pray method, you're just posting everything all the time, audience doesn't really connect to that because they want to follow somebody. And I want to follow Stuart because I know exactly what restaurant I want to see what restaurants he's posting about, and I can know when I go on his page that that's what's happening. So I would say if you have 500 followers and you want to grow it, understand your niche, understand what you want to post about, and go that way.
That's a great starting point. And Stuart, what do you want to add to that conversation? Is there a little magic hack nugget, anything that I can do, even on the airplane on the way home, that I can at least just kind of get my mind and myself pointed in the right direction to start the process?
Consistency. That is the biggest thing. My team, when we're in full health, we post 5 videos a day. We probably are one of the largest, in the sense of like Instagram accounts in the country. We post a lot.
That is a lot of posting.
We post a lot. Last year we featured 350 unique businesses on our account, 485 videos, not including, that's just 1 year. And so like, we are deeply entrenched in consistently creating content. Thankfully, the city, a lot of new restaurants and businesses are opening. So 450 restaurants opened in Nashville last year. So I have a lot of work ahead of me. So like that's nice, but like it's consistency. And then for 5 years, I was under 10,000 followers. And we had a podcast. We made the mistake of, hey, let's do this podcast. We started August 1st of 2019. We did it 5 days a week until August 1st of 2023. I went negative probably $1 million on that product. But I showed up every single day, and I was consistent in creating content.
Celine, I want to bring that back to you, but just a little different frame, because you're outstanding as a creator of capturing the moment. If Luke Combs is going to drop, and I can vividly remember Sleepless in a Hotel Room came out, like he dropped it at like 10 o'clock on a Wednesday, and all of a sudden like Celine's in the studio and she's just having it, like she's just in it. And the stuff you do with your staff on JR, I think it's all really well done. Can you talk about the spontaneity and capturing the moment when it actually happens?
Well, for one, it's great to have a team that is willing to do stuff like that, like sleep on a couch or just belt stuff out of their lungs there. But just having that community, first of all, like I was saying, within your radio station, and just capitalizing on the moment. When a song gets released or an album gets released, post about it right away. The amount of times that a video will go viral because you were on the ball about it. If you wait a week to post something about a release that happened the week before, it's not gonna do anything. Unless something happens with that artist within that same week, then sure. But if you wait a while, nothing's gonna really grow and do anything for the platform or for yourself.
Stuart, we're all creators, and we're all look at we're just all we're all sensitive flowers, and it's hard for us to accept the word no. And boy, if we had to put on a tie and do sales every single day, we would be really bad at it, because a lot of times we quit when we hear no. But you know, I think about your journey just in the Instagram world and in Nashville in general, like Nashville. Being a 10-year town for artists and how they develop this. Like, to talk about just a little bit about your journey, you know, having to look beyond the end of the diving board when things may be a little rough, when you get a client that you don't necessarily see. Like, just tell us about the building process for you in what is the 10-year town.
I have a full 10-year story. 2016 is when I conceptually started the brand. I've been working on a brand since 2011. But 10 years ago, 2016, I was literally a half a mile down the road, pitched it to 5 different businesses, had multiple no's, all billion-dollar businesses, and I said, guys, in the next 10 years, you will be hiring influencers, and we didn't have that word 10 years ago. You would be hiring people literally to create content on your behalf. And I got 5 no's down there at the EC. I had a no down the road, and so this is literally year 10. We're coming in at 500,000 followers now. And it's back to the consistency. It's know your audience. It's fail well, but then fail forward and say, okay, I'm gonna, instead of taking a step back, I'm gonna actually go 2 steps forward when I fail. And then systemize everything. Like, figure out your systems, figure out your failing points in your systems, and clean it up and make sure that your systems are good. Surrounding yourself with community. I wouldn't be able to do this without my business partner in my team. Like, 5 videos a day is extraordinarily stressful. That's a lot of content. But like, you have to surround yourself with people that see the end goal of. So our mission statement as a company is to create actionable content to allow people to experience their local communities. That's been our mission statement since day one. For 5 years, when we were doing this podcast and stuff, by accident, I became a production company, and I produced massive videos for multi-billion-dollar organizations in this city. And there was a client that I literally recorded a video for, made $25,000 on the job. I recorded a video for them. They made $14 million on that product.
That's impressive.
And I got tired of making money for other people, and I'm like, I can do this for myself.
When did the monetization for you though feel real? Like it's actually happening?
When I got paid $750 for an Instagram video. Probably about 4 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago.
There was a nugget of gold in there that if you didn't write it down on your phone, if you didn't, I realize we don't have a slide deck behind us, but the mission statement is critically important in knowing, again, that's my roadmap, that's my path. I'm always gonna fail forward into what my mission statement is. Rachel, let's talk about how the talent respond in the radio station to the fact that they have a whole sales staff that's out there really helping them monetize and having you as the liaison in between. Like, when did the monetization for them really start to feel real?
Yeah, I think our talent was so excited that we finally got on this train. A lot of them were already posting as like added value, and I was like, you guys, we're not doing that anymore. That's not an added value thing. Let's put some money behind it. So once they started seeing the money come through, they were stoked. I think the timing though was we have a really robust endorsement program on our station, and I was like, we're already endorsing it on air. Why aren't we endorsing it online? And so that's kind of where we started, and it came so naturally for all of the talent because they were already doing it, and now they're just getting paid to do it more.
Bonus. Yeah, that's so great.
Yeah.
That's so great. I look at all the perceptual research from across the country, whether it's in the country format or it's in any sort of radio format, and when you get past the word free, when it comes to why people come to radio specifically, when you get past the word free, it's because we play their favorite songs. It's because they're DJs that are friends, and big difference between DJs and DJs that are their friends, and it makes them feel good. And so Celine, when you think about how you set up country with Celine, And what's the feeling that you're trying to leave people with as you work through your posting schedules?
I want them to leave feeling good and feeling happy, and also just spreading country music. It's the best genre well, I might be very biased here saying this at CRS, but country music I think is the best genre, and when I post my content, I just want people to leave again feeling happy, feeling excited, especially when I post about up-and-coming artists. I just want them to get to know who they are, get on that personal level, make them feel that they know who, like, that person by heart, like they're their best friend. That's what I always try to get across.
We only have a couple minutes left, and I'm really bummed that we are not going to have time to take questions, because I realized that this would be one of those panels that have a lot of questions. So look in the app, and we have everybody's Instagram and TikTok and all the social channels, and how to get a hold of us is in there. I would encourage you to ask all the questions. And by the way, if you want to funnel them through me, I have no problem asking the questions, doing a quick follow-up round with everybody, because Rachel, I'll come back to you on this one. Like, what's a spot where I could potentially get myself in trouble? I get back to the radio station, I want to set this thing up, and I want to have somebody in the middle, and I want to sell my talent as influencers. Is there something I should be looking out for that I don't necessarily see right now?
Where you could get in trouble?
Yeah, where you could get in the trick bag.
I think, just without telling too much, I mean, I think not staying true to your audience is where you can get in trouble. And honestly, trying to replicate what's happening on air and replicating it online, it's not going to work. It's a different channel for a reason, and people go to Instagram for a different reason than they go to the radio. So I think looking at it from just a completely 180 perspective, and just taking the same passion you take in radio and putting it into the digital channel.
So Celine, whether it's you're saying no to something that you don't want to do that doesn't fit your brand, or whether you're trying to really advocate to have this system in place for your radio station, what's the delicate balance that you, and the fine line that you have to walk to be assertive but not necessarily be like labeled as difficult? You know, the talent that is so far out there that they're the one, I don't want to work with them because they're asking for too much. Like, how do you navigate all that inner drama in the radio station?
Well, for one, I would just try to make my brand as obvious as possible so I don't have to deal with all of that, because like you were saying, Stuart, you have to be so organic with what you post. You have to have a niche. Like, you need a niche. If you don't got a niche, you're going to be getting a bunch of endorsements and clients coming out to you from left, right, and center asking you to do everything, and you're going to have to say no to them. But I think it's just kind of narrowing it down and letting your sales team know exactly what you're all about, so you don't have to deal with coming off as that rude person, which you're not. You're just being honest.
Yeah, you're setting the boundary. And Stuart, I want everybody to see how you see it now, where you hired a business partner early, and you asked that person to be with you for as long as they can be with them on the journey, and you're able to hand a lot of the business dealings off to somebody like that. So if I'm able to set that up in my radio station, that is an amazing thing. Like Cumulus Nashville, I mean, man, that is the blueprint and the template for radio everywhere to make this happen. But I want you to, Stuart, I want you to talk about for a second, how you're able to do things now, having the business partner that you weren't able to do before. Like, I don't know, I'm premiering a short film in Tennessee with 400 people, and all these dignitaries are coming, and you're meeting all these high-level people. Like, that's the level that our talent can get to that you have already achieved.
On the talent side of things, they need to be accessible. Most radio stations are hiding DJs behind mics. And I feel, my team knows this, I'm very accessible, to the point where we're filming in a grocery store, and this is even for a product that we have. It's for Tennessee Crossroads, a legendary TV show in this state, and I'm a digital host for them. It wasn't even for my brand, it was for Tennessee Crossroads. But the people were taking too much of my time in conversation. Literally, my team had to escort me out of the grocery store. Make your people accessible. Like, that's it. to be, there we are, sorry guys. I have to be accessible. And you need to make your hosts accessible. The nice thing about, you have to know your host's strengths too. And so I can hand off relationships and conversations to my team that I don't necessarily have to be in on the finance side.
Rachel, I just want to say thank you again because there's a number of really great resources in the CRS resources guide that you're going to see after CRS that Rachel contributed to. But I'm going to give you the final question. And I want you to just talk about if I'm here and I'm sitting in the audience and I'm hearing all this and it makes sense and I like help me craft the question or questions that I need to start asking to get some of this process put into place.
I think it starts with showing, I'm a sales, I'm a numbers person, data driven, right? We all kind of have to be. I think it starts with showing the numbers, showing how big this industry is, how much money we are leaving on the table, and taking that to your team and giving them a plan and saying, I'm going to post 5 times a day, or I'm gonna find my niche. Sell me, please.
No, that's a great place to end it. And again, if you have questions, if there's somebody that you want to reach out to, these are some of the most accessible, sharing human beings that I have run into at CRS. It is all their first time being here, so let's give them an extra round of applause for not only being here, but getting on this stage right in front of you guys. Stuart, Rachel, Celine, thank you
guys.
so much.
Thank you.
I'll be in the hallway, accessibility.